Post Malone has had immense success with over 17 million followers on Spotify, while also being the 4th most monthly listener artist. His unique melodies and vocal style accompanied by hip-hop production has gotten him to the top of the music industry. But is he considered a rapper? In this video, we're going to be reviewing his latest album, Hollywood's Bleeding, while also trying to tackle that question, is he really considered a rapper? The title track, Hollywood's Bleeding, starts the album off with a very somber type of feeling, a very somber type of sound. But when it comes to the second part of the track, it actually has a very amazing transition. It gives us painful lyrics like never took the time to get to know me, was scared of losing something that we never found. And he also questions who would be at his funeral, which is a surprising way to start the project, to be honest. That second part of the track, the transition was great like I mentioned previously, but he also has a third transition that actually feels even more powerful, as he says we're running out of reason but we can't let go. When it comes to the second track, Saint Tropez, it has a more common pattern. It feels like it's a more common type of sound when it comes to the production, but the aggression actually in his vocals is actually more noticeable than on the first track. I also find it curious the fact that he actually cuts off the part where he says "million on my wrist." He actually only says "million on my." Like, for some reason, I feel like he actually even himself recognized the fact that that part is actually very cliche, very common to say. Like, that line right there is very common to say nowadays on hip hop. But at the same time, he does add it as an ad-lib risk. But either way, it did feel like at the same time he was recognizing the fact that it's a cliche phrase to use at this point in time on hip hop. He also mentions on his track how he doesn't need advice from anybody. And he says he stays pumping out classics. But for some reason, to be honest, this doesn't feel like one of those classics. It's a good track, but it's not necessarily one of the pumped out classics he's mentioning right here on the track itself. The chorus on Enemies, which is the third track, is great. And the feature from the Baby, man, I really feel like the features from the Baby haven't really been a miss on any single feature. Like, I honestly feel like the tracks he's been on, he's just been great entirely. Like, his flow is impeccable. And compared to the melodic vibes that Post brings, it's a great contrast for sure for the track. This is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the project entirely. I mean, listen, to put it in simpler words, he just spazzed completely, bro. The way he says, you reach for a shake, I'm a whole lot of fists. I'm like, damn. And then he says, and I know you think that I see it, and I know you bitch ain't got a car. Don't make me go and buy a bitch a little Prius. Well, I gotta be a little Prius, bro, damn. Fuck on a camera, we can call it even. That's a funny way to get even right there. On the track Allergic, to me that's the very first indication we get of him trying to part ways from that hip hop type of element when it comes to him going for more of a softer type of beat, more simple type of beat, more emphasis on his vocals, not necessarily on the production. And even though this song is around the same length from the previous tracks, it honestly feels like a much shorter track. Maybe it has to be because the beat is way more simpler. Maybe it's because it's more of the emphasis on the vocals, but it's really the same type of length compared to the other tracks, but for some reason it actually feels way more shorter than the previous tracks. In 1,000 Bad Times, he mentions how she makes us laugh so hard, but that's what gets him off. He says I had 1,000 bad times, but what's another time for him? He says she tried to burn his house down, but what's another house to me? Listen, bruh, that sounds like some rich people talk right there, to be honest. You know you've made it if you can say what's another house to me. It's simple, you know you've made it, definitely. So from 4 to 6, these tracks right here keep gearing towards trying to fall apart from the hip-hop elements, the hip-hop type of sounds, to a more softer type of simple type of beat. It almost feels like it's adding more pop elements to the tracks. Out of the 3, Circles was definitely the most enjoyable track to me. It just felt like a more concise chorus and a better melody than the other tracks, to be honest. I mean, the consistency with Post Malone is definitely his vocals. He's always great with the melodic type of vibes, but so far it definitely feels like there hasn't been any type of signs of rap. So, should Post Malone be considered a rapper if he's predominantly a singer? To me personally, no. But honestly, what makes him great on songs is definitely how good his vocals sound on hip-hop production. That's for sure, bro. Because let's be honest, bro, to me, the hip-hop sound combined with his vocals is what made him get to the top, right? So to me, at the very least, he's a hip-hop artist, but a hip-hop artist that could definitely do pop songs. Yeah, for some reason, when I think about Post Malone, I think more about a pop artist who uses hip-hop elements, even though he should probably be categorized as a hip-hop artist. We'll get to that further on the review, bro. Die For Me is actually one of my favorite tracks. Future went crazy on that track. Future doing that type of falsetto right there, that was really unexpected, but like the type of sound he brought to the track was actually very pleasing right there. And the auto-tune, to be honest, wasn't very overpowering, because sometimes I feel like Future's auto-tune on certain tracks is definitely very overpowering. Like it actually takes grip of his sound right there, and it actually doesn't add to the track, it actually subtracts to the track. But in this case, the auto-tune was actually very concise, very clean, and it actually felt like it sounded really good, especially for the falsetto right there, because I really wasn't expecting that type of falsetto from Future on the track. And I hope I'm saying the name correctly, because Halsey's voice right here, man, I don't even know who she is, but I became a fan already because the way her voice actually worked through the end of the track, she just passed at the end completely. So I did actually enjoy a lot of her part when it came to the vocals. They sounded really great on this hard-hitting beat, for sure. So then we had features from Meek Mill and Lil Baby. It's actually interesting to think Post had both babies on this project right here, bro. The Baby and Lil Baby. So that's pretty tough. But at the same time, one of the lines right here was, "You ain't really who you say you are. Get the fuck out of my face. Stop blowing me up." But it's interesting the way Post Malone can make such aggressive lines at the same time sound so melodic and so smooth, because the way he says it on this track doesn't really sound aggressive at all, to be honest. It's like the way he's singing it right here is like, bro, this sounds smooth as fuck right here. Meek Mill's flow right here is just nasty, bro. It's got the type of spoken flow. It's like he's pretty much talking through the track, because it's not really like that type of fast pace. It's just like a spoken type of flow that's actually fitting pretty well with the track right here. So I do enjoy Meek Mill's flow right here for sure, bro. Lil Baby wasn't bad, but it was a very short part, so I actually didn't get much from it. But at the same time, he did bring those melodic vibes back to the track. And probably my favorite track on the album, Ozzy Osbourne, I hope I'm saying that correctly. He definitely brought those rock vibes right at the start of the track with the amazing vocals on Take What You Want. But Travis' flow right here is way too smooth, bro. Like that flow right there from Travis Scott, bro. I mean, it's the same type of flow that Post Malone has on the track, but the way that Travis comes into the track is way too smooth. I took them songs you threw, made change for the crew. Definitely the last part, when it comes to that guitar type of sound right there, that just makes the track even 10 times better. But like the guitar sounds right at the end, amazing, impeccable. But honestly, this is what I think separates an artist like Travis from an artist like Post. They both definitely dominate melodies, right? Like Travis Scott is great on melodies, Post Malone is great on melodies, but at the same time, in reality, it's the fact that I've simply heard Travis rap more than I've heard Post rap. Like a lot more, bro. Like definitely a lot more. The second part of Stargazing, Travis is rapping great. In Bystanders, Travis goes crazy, especially the last part. And even on Astral Thunder and Coffee Bean, he's rapping, bro. Like he's actually rapping. It's not just like some melodic type of vibe, some melodic type of flow. He's actually rapping. Yet when it comes to Post Malone, it feels like he's significantly more focused on the singing type of vibes, the melodic type of vibes, than he's actually focused on rapping. Like I generally don't feel like I've actually heard Post Malone rapping that is not including the melodic type of vibes at all. It's mostly been melodic type of vibes with just very, very minimal rapping flows. Like very, very minimal. But then again, the first thing they mentioned Post Malone has on his Spotify description is actually a rapper. So that's pretty interesting to see, because I just explained all this about him actually being focused on the singing type of vibes, feeling like he's more of a singer than a rapper. But the first thing they put him as on the Spotify description is actually an American rapper. That's pretty interesting to see, to be honest. The track I'm Gonna Be has a very hard-hitting dark beat, as Post votes out how he'll be what he wants and he'll do what he wants. Honestly, the energy on the performance is there, but it feels like it's very repetitive when it comes to the chorus, and it feels like the track gets very repetitive compared to the previous track, because it just sounds like it's very quickly forgettable when it comes to the chorus, to be honest. And with the track that features SZA, I feel like the same thing happens, to be honest. It's like, this was a feature I was definitely excited to listen to, but I feel like much more could have been done with the production on the song. The vocals simply felt like it was just decent, bro. Both artists are repeating the chorus. The lyrics were decent as well. To be honest, I feel like much more could have been done with this feature, because it's definitely a collaboration where I feel like these are two artists that are definitely very good at singing. I bring in melodic type of vibes to tracks, and it just felt decent. Like the chorus just felt repetitive once again. Now, when it comes to the track from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, this is definitely a track I did enjoy a lot. Like I do actually enjoy how it fits with the movie and how it fits with the project as well. I don't really have to go into detail when it comes to the track. It's been out for a while, to be honest. It actually fits pretty well in both contexts. I actually do enjoy it on the album, and I actually did enjoy it on the movie as well, bro. The track Internet is actually the shortest track on the project with an extremely minimal beat. But could you believe that on this beat, which is actually not hip-hop oriented, is actually one of the few tracks where actually I feel like Post Malone is actually rapping. And for some reason at the same time, even though it's the shortest track, the passion that Post Malone has on this track, it makes me wish it was actually longer because I actually do enjoy this track a lot. It's not like he's heavily rapping, but at the same time, I consider the pace, the fast-paced flow he's delivering on this track, I actually do consider it to be rapping on this track, bro. Like, to be honest, I feel like this is one of the few times I actually do consider a fast-paced flow from Post Malone to actually be rapping.
The lifestyle we live is just too dangerous. Paranoid since I've been leaking my shit. Wonder if it'll come out on the web.
So 13 tracks in, could you believe that I actually finally feel like I did actually hear some fast-paced type of rapping flow from Post Malone instead of the singing melodic vibes, which is actually what he's great at. But at the same time, I feel like this is actually the first time we did listen to that fast-paced type of rapping flow, even though it's an extremely minimal beat that is not even hip-hop oriented. So that's pretty interesting to actually see, bro. Bro, when it comes to Young Thug, he just completely makes Goodbyes his own track, bro. Like, the high-pitched vocals right there from Young Thug is just crazy, bro. Like, it's amazing the way he could actually manipulate his voice to make those melodic type of vibes with those high vocal ranges. Like, it's insane, bro. The way he could actually manipulate his voice right there, it makes the track have so many different type of layers. Like, the track just feels like it's just very dynamic with that type of high-pitched vocals, those high-pitched type of melodic vibes. The auto-tune sounds great for Young Thug right there. So it's definitely a track that I feel like is more actually Young Thug's track, to be honest, than it feels like a Post Malone track. And I actually do feel like it's a strong end to the album with the tracks I Know and Wow. It's funny because every single time I think about the track Wow, I keep thinking about the Old Man Dance. Like, that was a very unexpected video, bro. And it's actually interesting because that's actually one of the tracks where I do feel like the melody at times feels like he's actually rapping. So to be honest, when it comes to the tracks where I do feel like he actually has a rapping type of pace, rapping type of flow, however you want to say it, it actually is the track Wow. And the previous track I did mention, that was actually the shortest track. Which one was it? It was Internet. I actually do feel like he has a rapping pace right there. So overall, to me, this is definitely a solid project. I don't feel like it's his best project. It's definitely not bad, but it's a decent project. It's definitely not his best project. But I actually do consider him to be a hip-hop artist, even though I don't consider him to be a rapper. And it's interesting because the hip-hop elements doesn't have singing when it comes to the original elements. It does have rapping, DJing, graffiti, MCing, all those other type of elements, breaking, dancing, but at the same time, it doesn't have singing. So when you think about it, the sound has evolved this much to the point where melodic type of vibes might be the main element on a track, even though it's not one of the original elements from hip hop. So it's interesting to think about that because Post Malone is definitely still somebody who I would consider a hip hop artist. Now, he's predominantly a hip hop artist with a majority of his features being part of the hip hop culture. So that definitely says something. Like, you can't ignore the fact that most of his features, actually pretty much all the features excluding Ozzy Osbourne, are definitely hip hop artists. So to me, it would be interesting to see how Post Malone actually defines himself as an artist because he also has those pop-oriented tracks with those type of pop elements. But like I said previously, to me, he's definitely a hip-hop artist because that's definitely his main type of sound. So yeah, I hope this actually made you think about how we define an artist. We know he's a singer, but is he a rapper? Is he a hip-hop artist or a pop artist? Or is he both? Either way, that's about it, my guy. Hope you actually did enjoy this video. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. That's about it, bro. Take care.